All right, everyone, let's talk self-motivation.
Yeah,
I think we all want a little more of that in our lives,
for sure.
right? Today, we're going deep into unlocking self-motivation, building inner drive for success.
Ooh, that's a good
And
one.
trust me, this isn't just another generic self-help pep talk.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
This source goes way beyond the usual cliches.
right.
It really digs into the psychological nuts and bolts of what makes us tick.
Okay, so the first thing that really struck me in this book
Okay.
was this idea that sometimes our biggest enemy when it comes to achieving goals is what ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about like external obstacles.
Right.
It's about that inner voice that tells us to hit snooze or skip the gym.
Exactly. And the source has a great way of putting it.
Okay.
It says that external motivators, things like deadlines or other people's expectations, they can be like a sugar rush.
Okay.
They give you a quick boost, but it doesn't last.
Right.
Real self-motivation, that inner drive, is like building a solid foundation for your goals.
Okay, so how do we build that foundation? The book breaks down self-motivation into 5 key steps.
Okay.
And the first one is all about understanding your why.
It's not just about having a vague sense of what you want to achieve.
Right.
It's about connecting to your deepest purpose.
Okay.
The author actually tells this incredible story
Okay.
about a woman who ran a marathon with a broken leg
Wow.
because her why was so powerful.
What?
She was running to raise money for a charity that had helped her family through a really tough time.
Wow, a marathon on a broken leg? Talk about a powerful why.
I know.
That really brings it home, doesn't it?
It does, and it highlights why that step is so crucial.
Right.
When you have a deep emotional connection to your goal, it fuels your motivation in a way that nothing else can.
Yeah.
It helps you push through those inevitable moments of doubt and keep going even when things get tough.
Okay, so we've got our why nailed down. Our emotional engine is revving.
Yes.
Now what? The book talks about setting goals,
Right.
but I feel like I hear that advice everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
What's different here?
The key here is specificity and achievability.
Okay.
And the source emphasizes breaking down those big, audacious goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yeah.
It even suggests a technique called implementation intentions to make those goals stick.
Implementation intentions. That sounds intriguing.
It's basically about setting up if-then statements to trigger a specific action.
Okay.
So instead of just saying, I'll eat healthier,
Right.
you'd say, if it's lunchtime, then I'll choose a salad over a burger.
Uh-huh.
It helps automate your decision-making and makes those healthy choices feel less like a struggle.
Ah, so you're taking the willpower out of the equation. I like it. Okay, step 3 in the self-motivation toolkit is creating a routine.
Okay.
And if I'm being honest, this is where I tend to struggle.
Routine is about consistency,
Okay.
and the source compares it to those mundane habits we all have,
Mm-hmm.
like brushing our teeth.
Yeah.
We don't think twice about it, we just do it.
Right.
Building routines around your goals helps create that same automatic response even when your motivation is low.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about when you just feel completely uninspired?
Yeah,
How do you keep the momentum going?
that's where step 4 comes in.
Okay.
Surrounding yourself with inspiration, and this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The source challenges you to think beyond the usual motivational posters and quotes.
So what are we talking about?
It could be anything.
Okay.
A piece of music, a work of art,
Okay.
a specific place in nature,
Okay.
even a particular smell that evokes positive emotions or memories.
Wow.
What the author is really getting at here is the power of sensory triggers to fuel your motivation.
So it's about curating your environment to support your goals.
Precisely. Think about it.
Okay.
What one thing do you find truly inspiring?
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind close at hand to tap into when you need a boost.
Okay. So we've got our why. We've set specific goals, we've built routines, and we've surrounded ourselves with inspiration. Seems like we're all set, right?
Well, almost like
Okay.
the final step is acknowledging that motivation isn't a constant.
Right.
It's going to ebb and flow,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
Some days I feel unstoppable, and other days just getting out of bed feels like a major accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing the book has some advice
It does.
for those inevitable dips in motivation.
It does, and that's where we're headed next.
Okay.
Exploring the tools and strategies for navigating those moments when your inner drive seems to have taken a vacation.
Right.
And believe me, the insights in this book for overcoming those challenges are pure gold.
I can't wait to dive into that. But for now, I think we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
It's already clear to me that building self-motivation is about so much more than just willpower.
Mm-hmm.
It's about creating a system of foundation and a mindset that supports your goals in a sustainable way.
Absolutely. And the beauty of this approach is that it's not about being perfect. It's
Right.
about progress,
Yes.
about showing up consistently, and about embracing the journey even when it gets messy.
Well said. Welcome back, everyone. So we've laid the groundwork for building lasting self-motivation.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, there aren't going to be times
Oh, yeah.
when even the best laid plans go awry.
That's life, isn't it?
Right.
Even with a solid why and a toolbox full of strategies,
Yeah.
we're going to hit those inevitable motivational roadblocks.
And I'm guessing that's where the real magic of this book comes in.
Mm-hmm.
What does it have to say about those times when we're feeling stuck or burnt out or just plain unmotivated?
Well, it starts by reminding us that those dips in motivation are completely normal.
Okay.
It's like the author says,
Okay.
expecting to be motivated all the time is like expecting the sun to shine every single day.
Right.
There will be storms, there will be cloudy days,
Right.
but the sun is always there behind the clouds.
I love that analogy. So it's not about avoiding those low points altogether.
Right.
It's about knowing how to navigate them.
Precisely. And the book offers some really powerful strategies for doing just that.
Okay.
The first one, which we touched on earlier, is pausing and reflecting.
So not just powering through,
Right.
but taking a step back.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like?
It's about getting curious
Okay.
about what's really going on. Why am I feeling this way? Have my priorities shifted?
Okay.
Am I burnt out?
Yeah.
The book actually suggests journaling as a way to process these feelings and uncover any hidden roadblocks.
You know, I've always been a bit skeptical of journaling.
Okay.
But maybe I need to give it another shot.
I think you'd be surprised how powerful it can be.
Okay.
It's like having a conversation with yourself,
Right.
getting those thoughts and feelings out of your head and onto paper.
Right.
And sometimes that's all it takes to gain some clarity and perspective.
And I bet that reflection can also lead to the realization that our goals need adjusting.
Yes.
Like what we thought we wanted 6 months ago might not be what we truly desire now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Life is constantly evolving, and so are we.
Right.
And sometimes that means letting go of goals that no longer serve us.
Okay.
The author actually shares this great story
Okay.
about a successful entrepreneur who realized that his relentless pursuit of wealth had left him feeling empty and unfulfilled.
Wow.
He ended up selling his company and dedicating his life to environmental activism.
Wow. That's a pretty radical shift.
It is.
It takes a lot of courage to walk away from something you've invested so much in.
It does, but the book emphasizes that it's not about failure.
Right.
It's about growth and evolution.
Okay.
And sometimes that means making difficult choices.
So we pause, we reflect, we adjust our goals if needed.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do when motivation takes a nosedive?
This is where self-compassion comes in, and this is something I'm truly passionate about.
Okay.
So often when we're struggling to meet our own expectations,
Right.
our inner critic takes over and beats us up for not being good enough.
Oh, tell me about it. My inner critic has a black belt in self-sabotage.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Self-criticism rarely motivates us. It actually does the opposite.
Yeah.
It drains our energy, erodes our confidence, and makes it even harder to get back on track.
Right.
Self-compassion, on the other hand, is like a warm embrace for our struggling selves.
That sounds lovely. But how do we actually practice self-compassion? It feels a bit abstract.
The book offers a really simple but powerful phrase that you can use when
Okay.
you're feeling down on yourself.
Okay.
This is a moment of suffering is a part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment.
Wow, I'm actually getting chills just hearing that.
Yeah,
It's so simple, yet so profound.
it is. And the key is to really feel those words.
Right.
To let them sink in and soften that harsh inner critic.
So we're being kind to ourselves, we're adjusting our goals, we're taking time to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
But what about when those strategies aren't enough?
Yeah.
What if we're still feeling lost and unmotivated?
That's when it's time to reach out for support.
Okay.
Remember, we're not meant to go through this alone.
You know, I think that's something a lot of us forget, especially in our culture, that values independence and self-reliance,
Yeah.
but there's real strength in asking for help.
There is, and the book reminds us that support can come from many sources. Friends, family, mentors, therapists, support groups. It could even be an online community or a podcast like this one.
Right.
The important thing is to identify those people and resources that resonate with you,
Yeah.
and to reach out when you need a helping hand or a listening ear.
And sometimes just knowing that you're not alone in your struggles could be incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. It's like that African proverb,
Ooh, I like
if you
this.
want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Uh-huh.
Building a supportive network can make all the difference in achieving our goals and living a fulfilling life.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this section.
Yeah, for sure.
We've explored some really powerful strategies for navigating those inevitable dips in motivation. But I'm curious, from all of this, what's resonating most with you?
For me, it's the emphasis on self-compassion.
Okay.
It's such a simple concept, yet it can be so transformative.
Right.
It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a loved one who was struggling.
I completely agree. It's about recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we all have moments of weakness, and that's okay.
Exactly. And when we embrace that imperfection, when we stop beating ourselves up for not being perfect,
Yeah.
that's when real growth and transformation can happen.
So what's one takeaway from this section that our listeners can apply to their own lives?
I would say this.
Okay.
The next time you're feeling unmotivated,
Mm-hmm.
instead of judging yourself or forcing yourself to power through,
Right.
try pausing, reflecting, and offering yourself a dose of self-compassion. You might be surprised by how much that simple shift in perspective can change things.
I love that. Welcome back, listeners, as we wrap up our deep dive into self-motivation. I want to touch on something the book hints at but doesn't fully explore.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Well, I've talked about tactics, mindset shifts, even self-compassion,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels like there's this bigger picture idea here.
Yeah.
Almost like self-motivation becomes less about individual goals and more about a way of life.
You're hitting on something really powerful there. And yes, the source does allude to this. It's about self-motivation becoming less of a tool you pull out when needed and more of an integrated part of who you are.
Exactly. So how do we make that leap? How do we go from using these techniques to actually embodying this self-motivated way of being?
The book circles around a concept that I think is key here.
Okay.
Self-awareness, it's not enough to know the steps, you have to know yourself.
Okay, that makes sense. But we're not just talking about surface level stuff, right?
Definitely not. This goes deeper than just knowing your favorite color or whether you're a morning person.
Right.
It's about understanding your core values, what truly motivates you at your deepest level, what makes you feel energized and alive versus what drains you.
So it's about aligning your actions with your values, not just chasing external rewards or validation.
Exactly. When you're living in sync with your authentic self-motivation, becomes less of a struggle. It flows more naturally. Imagine a river carving its path. It doesn't force its way. It flows with the natural contours of the land. Self-motivation becomes like that, almost effortless.
I love that visual, but let's be real, isn't always a smooth flowing river. There are going to be rapids, obstacles, maybe even the occasional
Of
waterfall.
course, and that's where another crucial element comes in, embracing a growth mindset.
Okay?
The book talks about this extensively. It's about viewing challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities to learn and adapt.
Right.
It's about that beautiful process of becoming.
You know, I used to get so discouraged when I'd hit a roadblock. I'd take it personally, like it meant I wasn't good enough or I wasn't cut out for this.
I think we've all been there, but the book really emphasizes that setbacks are inevitable.
Right.
They're not a sign of failure, they're feedback. They're showing you where you need to adjust, where you need to grow.
And I guess that ties back into self-compassion too, right? Being kind to ourselves during those inevitable bumps in the road.
Absolutely. It's all interconnected, self-awareness, growth mindset, self-compassion. These are the pillars that support a truly self-motivated life. And I think the source, even though it doesn't explicitly lay it out this way, really lays the groundwork for this more holistic understanding of self-motivation.
So if we think of this deep dive as a journey for our listeners, where are we leaving them?
I'd say we're leaving them at the trailhead equipped with a map, a compass, and a sense of adventure. They have the tools and knowledge to navigate the terrain of their own lives, but ultimately it's their journey to take.
And I think as much as this book provides specific strategies, what it's really offering is a new perspective,
Yeah.
a way of seeing challenges as opportunities, setbacks, as feedbacks, and the entire journey of life as a process of growth.
Beautiful said. And as they continue on this path, I hope our listeners will remember the most important resource they have themselves, their own inner wisdom, their own unique strengths, and their own limitless potential.
So true. Before we wrap up completely, I want to leave our listeners with a question that the book sparked for me, something I think is worth pondering.
Okay, great. I'm all ears.
If we truly believe that self-motivation is a skill that can be cultivated, what one small action can you take today to nurture that skill within yourself?
I love that it could be anything identifying a small goal that aligns with your values, making a conscious effort to practice self-compassion, surrounding yourself with inspiration. The possibilities are endless.
The key is to take action, however small, and to trust that each step, each choice moves you closer to embodying that self-motivated way of being. And as you move forward on your journey, we would love to hear from you. Share your insights, your challenges, your aha moments in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation together.
Absolutely, because ultimately self-motivation isn't about achieving perfection. It's about embracing the journey of becoming the best versions of ourselves.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into self-motivation.